Hey everyone, it's Vision. Atomic Heart is a game that when I saw it, I was immediately hyped. Although it took me a full year to play, the very first initial look, I thought of Bioshock like everyone else. But I wasn't mad that someone tried to copy Bioshock. The last Bioshock game was Bioshock Infinite, which was released in 2013. Atomic Heart was first teased with a trailer in 2017 and then released in 2023. That is 10 years I've been waiting for a Bioshock-like game. Other than a new Sly Cooper game, there's no other game series that I want to be revived. And this is the closest I can get to Bioshock. Although it did take me a while to get to, my gaming backlog is long enough. Now with that out of the way, let's get into Atomic Heart. This linear, narrative-driven FPS shooter was a nice take on its influence, Bioshock. Heavily inspired, but it didn't really steal its roots of the game. It's impossible not to reference Bioshock when talking about the game, so you'll hear me mention it, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum. You are P3, a very proud Soviet soldier who is under the command of Sechenov, a brilliant scientist teasing the release of the Collective 2.0, a neural network connecting robots under a single network to complete human tasks for humans. Oh, and did I mention robots yet? Collective 2.0 takes to the next step of the robot workforce, with the addition of Polymer, which can allow humans to control robots directly from their mind using the Thought device, that creepy little tentacle thing that's just going across someone's forehead. And don't worry, you'll get one once Meta or Elon takes over the world. However, you're given Charles, a robot glove that is a gift from Sechenov, a helpful AI robot in a glove that leads the story. Think of Charles as a guide and a second set of eyes and a SAS machine for your character to help push the narrative. Meeting Sechenov, Mr. Bossman, you're given a task. Go upgrade your glove at facility 3826, and off we go. We drive, fly there, enjoying a nice, peaceful flight. We are then shot down, and we start our journey into this nightmare. It turns out a traitor, Viktor Petronov, has turned civilian robots to attack humans. Our mission is to find the traitor and bring him to Sechenov. Running for our lives, we run into Granny Zima, an absolute alpha of a human. Defending us and getting us to safety, we delve into our first area, a dungeon, an underground area where most of the game will take place. This is the main gameplay loop. Travel to an underground base, open world, underground base, open world, and repeat. Now, although the loop sounds simple, it's a well-built story, and it's the main focus of the game. You'll really slowly build up your arsenal of weapons, starting with an axe. You'll scavenge, loot, and fight for resources. And then Charles can act basically like a magnet and pocket your loot used for crafting. Speaking of crafting, you'll be using Nora, and she's a spitfire. She's unlike any other woman. She's a fighter and a bit of a dominatrix, but you'll barely notice.
Charles, what's on the other side of the door? That's Nora's voice. She's very dangerous. What the fuck? Fuck me!
Oh, what a stud! I can't get enough. Just let me tie you to the bed, baby.
There it is.
There you are, sugar. Oh, I missed you so much. I love it when you get angry. Yes, yes. Scold me. Punish me.
With Nora, you can upgrade and create weapons. Some items you can get only from fighting harder enemies, and some that you have to locate. This game didn't really motivate me to go out of my way to locate some of my items, but we'll get into that when we talk about the open world. Nora also allows you to upgrade yourself and Charles. You're able to select two different abilities at once. Using Neuropolymer to upgrade yourself, you have Shock Blast, Ice Freeze, Telekinesis, Polymeric Jet, Polymeric Shield, and Energy Management. Most of those are pretty straightforward. Abilities like Polymetric Jet act as a conductor for elemental damage. Polymetric Shield catches bullets, and Energy Management is for your electro gun. I apologize about all the details, but we'll get into it. It adds an extra layer of complexity for your gameplay, so not everyone really experiences the same thing. You can find the weapon and combination of polymer that works best for you. Speaking of weapons, let's delve into that a bit more. You have your melee weapons, which you can upgrade and allows you to change your damage, speed, and special attacks. And then you have your standard weapons, pistol, AK with a classic Russian reload, rockets, a railgun. And if you've played shooters before, they're basically the same with their own interesting take from the theme of the game. You can slap on mods to now shoot fire, ice, or electricity, where you can identify enemies that are vulnerable to. And to find those, Charles can scan the enemies for their resistance and vulnerabilities. This is what first separates the game loop. Managing your resources from ammo, ammo mods, health, and your inventory makes the game a bit tricky. And back to Nora, she's your everything, and I can't complain about that. You have to manage your weapons, mods, health, ammo, and special items by playing Tetris in your inventory. And yes, your weapons do fall into that category. Feel free to explore what works best for you, but using Nora for storage is a bit of a pain, but don't tell her that. I never felt like it was a smooth experience, but everything crammed into a single menu from crafting, upgrading, and storing. If you make something, it takes you out of the menu, you have to wait, and then you can grab it, and then you have to go back in. If you made more than you can hold, then you need to manage in your inventory. It's kind of tedious, but you can get through it, and it adds to the gameplay loop, so it could just be a feature. Make sure as you're playing to take in the sights. It's not the most technical game, but there is an aura each scenery gives off, from being outside with the bright sunlight and warmth with the cheer around you, to the organic infested areas, to labs. Each shift of the music, lighting, and tone draws you further into the world. Most games use lighting and reflections as gimmicks, but here it actually helps tell the story. Gameplay within the dungeons is where you experience the core of the game. The theme is right up my alley. Exploring each location, you can read consoles, which tell the lives of the people who work there, and find additional lore. You never really have to use the consoles, so it's a nice touch for those who want to get invested. Navigating the dungeons, you run into enemies, solve puzzles, very often run into the typical, oh, I can't get through the store, let me spend the next 30 minutes finding keys. However, with the story always being pushed, it's not a bore. The various puzzles include locks, laser combos, jumping puzzles, and some levers that shift rooms. Felt more of an afterthought in some cases to extend playtime. However, the room shift and jumping puzzles feel right at home with the way that they were created. Something you run into is talking dead people, subconsciously trapped in their thought devices. Listen to everyone you find, trust me, it's actually pretty fun to interact with them. One thing you are quick to notice is the soundtrack. Although most songs are sung in Russian, and I don't understand Russian, you can feel the hype of the music. From this to this.
Fuck off, you prick! You're one sick motherfucker.
And holy, the music gets you in a murderous mood sometimes. In-game, of course. There are two main types of enemies, the robots and the organics, a fungus-like enemy. Each with their unique movesets. The most important and prevalent enemies are the robots. Each enemy is designed uniquely with their own moveset, which makes combat exciting. They also either slowly increase the enemy count or throw in a new enemy, which is paced appropriately throughout the game. Atomic Heart also features bosses, either bigger robots or a third enemy type, which is only a boss and it's made of polymer. These add that extra fear and prep that you need to actually deal with these. There are two boss fights where I completely was out of ammo, low on health, and I had to figure out how to beat it. The first boss in the game, I shot all my ammo out of it, completely out, and I just had a bit of health. Then I figured out by pulling the lever and perfectly timing the move, I was able to take out the boss. It was honestly one of the best feelings I got out of a game in a while. And I think the last time something had happened was like in Elden Ring. Now, I'm not comparing the games, I'm comparing the feeling that I had. One thing I was not a fan of was the open world. There were a few locations where you could explore the area outside the dungeon. This is the in-between areas of specific dungeons where you can locate specific parts to craft, parts like stocks and scopes, but it wasn't really necessary to beat the game. I treated these sections as a sneak around and hide sections. I mostly stayed to the walls, because if you kill the robots, they can be repaired by their friends, and then more and more will come. It felt like a never-ending fight without much of a goal. Unless you need some materials, and this is a good area to loot, but I never ran into an issue with materials. Most of the time I either ran or hit around. If you're a completionist or lore driven, feel free to explore. It's not a skippable part of the game, so I just ran through it. Driving, however, was fun though. Probably one of the highlights of it, to be honest. The entire time I was driven to keep going, and trust me, the story is not what you think it is. It's the type of game where if I talk about it, I can't talk about everything without ruining the payoff. If you enjoy linear games, this one is for you. It dives into a world with unique characters. Everyone has a motive for doing something, whether it be greed, fear, love, or pride. No one NPC gets underutilized, minus the throwaway people. And now that I think about it, there aren't too many characters, but that's a good thing. You get invested in the characters that you do have, and you learn their motives and why they do what they do. Oh, and of course, yeah, you can't forget about them. Whether you played or are looking to get into the game, what do you think? Are you interested in the genre and theme? If you've already completed it, I highly recommend playing the BioShock series when it's on a deal. I'm also looking forward to the game Judas, a game being created by one of the designers of BioShock Infinite. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoy this, check out my Dishonored video. It's one of my all-time favorite games. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and I appreciate you for watching. Have a good one.
We'll be together till death do us part.